So I think for me, when I was looking at the summer of cane juice and which rums to start off with in tasting in reviews, I think these were like the natural thing. I think Clement, I think is pretty much it's easily to get worldwide. It's certainly probably, without no disrespect, the entry level kind of agricole rum or Martinique rum, definitely in the UK. I've got absolutely no doubts that it's widely available into the US and around the world, especially because of the likes of Spiribam who owns it, same people as Chairman's Reserve, same people as Rum JM. It's just the cheap natural entry point. Now I dare say it, I know cane heads are going to be going, oh god, it's got a lot better rums than this, but we have to start somewhere, and I think we have to start at the bare basics. So what have we got here? We've essentially got two of the cheapest kind of entry level rums from Rum Clement. As I say, this the distillery in Martinique is Fons Preville. It's the same place as where Rum JM is made, owned by Spiribam. We're going to be talking a lot about Rum JM, a lot about Clement over this couple of months, or especially during Martinique, and Martinique's going to be 3 weeks. So these, I'm going to give you the prices. I'm going to do what I normally do. Would these be restocks? Use case scenario, how would you kind of do these? And do I think they're value for money? I'm going to do all that summing up at the end of the video. But for now, let's just dive into what these are. So effectively, we've got £26 Master of Malt in the UK and £29 for the Ambre. So what we have, I haven't done the dollars in this, but 26, so we're talking what, $34 on that, and then what, 29, so we're talking like nearly sort of $37, $38 in the US. So I'd be quite interested to see your comparison there over in the US, your prices on that. So rums, Martinique, as I've said, Spiribam owns it, same as Rum JM, same as Chairman's Reserve. Both 40% rums. As I said, hopefully if you've watched the Martinique video, you would have kind of seen that actually a lot of rums up until the mid sort of 2010s from Clement actually came from distillery, the Simon distillery. Actually now it all comes from Fons Preville. So we can pretty much safely assume that rums in the last sort of at least 5 or 6 years are different to what rums that were coming out of Clement a few years prior to that. So I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I know they don't use the Simon distillery any longer. It's all Fons Preville. Obviously, because they're in Martinique there, and because they've got the AOC on them, they are actually kind of column still rums. And the difference between the two, obviously one's Blanc and one's sort of got a little bit of colour to it. The Blanc is kind of, as I say, these are both proper AOC rums, okay? So the Blanc has been rested for at least sort of 6 weeks before it's kind of put into bottles. And the Ambre doesn't make any reference to age. There's no view written on the bottle. It's just matured. It's one of those matured rums. So this is spent 12 months in an oak cask. Now, while I'm diving into the nosing, the nostril test, it is actually worth noting I did have a little bit, I don't know where it's gone now, it must be around here somewhere, a little bit of the 50, the JM 50 in here. It's not a UK product, hence I'm not going to focus on that. I haven't bothered getting another bottle. We only get the 40 in the UK. So I dare say there's a 50 in Europe quite easily, probably in France quite easily as well. But we only get the 40. But on the nostrils, the big, and these are so different to anything I've tasted already behind the bar. It is very much sort of citrusy, very much sort of savoury, kind of like a little brininess to it. It's kind of fresh. It's got this like floral element to it. But that one thing I do get is that sort of lovely sort of citrusy notes. Probably sort of green fruit, green apples would be a great way to kind of sum that up. Now, I don't know whether the Ambre is actually just that exact same rum, just rested. I don't know that. And I did ask the question and I didn't get any response back. So I don't know whether it's exactly the same rum. But effectively, we can pretty much assume that it's relatively a similar distillate that just gets aged for 12 months. So we have on the nose got like pretty like elements, shades of that. But obviously being rested in an oak barrel for 12 months, we do get a little bit of vanilla off there. Now, I remember when I first tried this, I did this in a live show pre-Easter 2023. And I fell in love with this. I'm not saying it's a well-beaten sipping rum, But actually for the quality, what I was expecting, I really enjoyed this. It's definitely doesn't lose any of those traits from the sort of the Blanc there, but you've got this, as I say, lovely sort of vanilla, but actually I would say more amplified in fruit, in those sort of green apples. You know, just swirling it around in the glass, it is that sort of fresh, it's a lovely sort of contrast in rums. It's starting this fresh cane juice agricole vibe mixed with a little bit of wood, a little bit of barrel aging that we're so used to, or I've been so used to with those kind of molasses rums. It's a very interesting thing. Now this, the Blanc on the taste, is very approachable. I've got a little bit of mint going on, but it is zesty. It is light. It is crisp. It's the fruit, those sort of green fruit traits. I don't lose that at all. It's sort of there. Do I, you know, would you think that this is agricole on tasting it? Martinique rum. I'm not specifically saying Martinique rum, but you very much know that it's a sugar cane juice rum. It is like no other white unaged rum that I've got behind the bar already. Even as we've talked about, even for those of you that are in the UK, the Portsmouth that uses dehydrated cane, is that right? Dehydrated cane juice, something like that. And John and Gina down at Goldstone Rum that do actually use sugar cane juice. You know, you've got shades of that. Bearing in mind they use molasses, panela and jaggery in there as well. You have got shades of that, but there is no mistake in this. This is very different. It's not harsh at all. There's no burn. It's just a lovely, glorious, floral, white, unaged rum. I think that's a banging entry-level white rum. I really, really do. Now, tasting the Ambre, do I get shades of that white? A little bit, but not too much. That 12 months in those oak casks have really transformed it. You still get this like floralness. Would I pick that as a cane juice rum over molasses? I'm going to be honest now. My head would get there by process of elimination because that is very different to anything I've tasted behind the bar, there, like a 1 or 2 or 3 year old. It's a very different because it has got that light floralness to it. There is, as it lengthens out, there is a touch of sort of like that green apple, but not too much. It is kind of vanilla, sort of woody kind of forward, if you like. But it's delicious. I think actually, like in the finish, when I sort of run the rum over my tongue and at the back of my throat, I actually get like dates and apricots coming off that, which I hadn't really sort of paid attention to before. Touch of spice, but not much. Honestly, entry level, I think these are absolutely superb. Now, how would you use these? I'm shooting this before I'm dropping another video on the Steve the Barman Extra channel. I haven't filmed that yet, but very much what I'm going to say in that video is actually, do you know what? Don't think of these as too dissimilar to normal rums. Just because they're cane juice, it doesn't mean to say you can't have the Ambre with Coke or the Ambre with ginger ale. It doesn't mean to say you can't have that in a daiquiri or you can't have that in a mojito. There's no, you know, the Stratford sodas are going to work with that. Of course they are. They're your fever trees. Of course they are. Your ginger beers, your ginger ales. Probably ginger beer more with that, but I would actually go more ginger ale with that, to be fair. But, you know, they're not massively different. They're just different. So use case for these, you know, think of these as your pretty much go-to sort of pouring, mixing rums. And you know what? This is the fascinating thing for me because I'm trying to start this at bare beginner level. So I'm going to work up to slightly more expensive rums. But the point I want to make is I really enjoy sipping both of these neat. So as we go up the scales, am I going to enjoy those even more? You know, am I going to fall in love with this whole cane juice kind of, you know, category of rums? Are they that much better than molasses? This is going to be an interesting couple of months. So let's sum up with the final couple of questions. You know, would I restock them? Do I think they're value for money? And have I got anything behind the bar comparable to these already? So first up, have I got anything behind the bar comparable? Yes, I have. I've got a lot of agricoles down here, but let's just go from pretending these are the first I've tasted. Everything else here is molasses. No. Have I got anything like these? No. They give off a very different vibe. So on that note, Would I restock these at this precise moment? Yes, I would, because I haven't, got to the more expensive stuff yet. But I think these are great workhorse rums. The only thing I will say is maybe the price, maybe. Like, because they are not massive deals, because they are not like massive big rums, like even like your Plantation 3 stars, to be fair, that will outsell those. God knows, by a lot to a lot, So price wise, I think you have to forgive this, but £26 in the UK, $33, give or take, and £29, which is what, $35, $36. They are possibly a little bit more expensive than I would normally sort of pay for these kind of rums. Is my enjoyment of these any more than like a £25 rum? I don't think they are at this precise moment, but in the cane juice category, I really, really do love them. So I hope you kind of understand what I'm saying here. £29, £30 for that. Look, let's be brutally honest. Appleton 8-year-old, £26, £28. I do prefer sipping that neat over that. But that makes a really, really lovely rum and coke. So you've got a lot of kind of things to kind of work through in your own head on the price. I dare say if these were more widely available, more popular, they would actually be cheaper. What I think you're probably looking at is a £20, $24, $25 rum and maybe a £22, so what's that, $28 rum, give or take. I think that's what you're kind of looking at. But because pretty much like UK rums, because they haven't got that much distribution, because they're not bigger deals, they are a little bit more expensive. But it's my first points to Agricole, to proper AOC, to Martinique rum. I'm perfectly happy with them, and yes, I would restock them.